All right. What's up, fellas? What's up? Live from New York on Saturday night, right? Hopefully I have enough energy to get through I don't know. I don't want to stay up too late. Brad, be careful. Everybody else, hopefully everybody's doing good. It's nice to hear that there's snow out there coming. Maybe I'll get some. Maybe I'll get to use that cool snow blower thing, right? That I made, right? That I installed on the Sunstar, that shaft drive thing. God, I got two machines, guys. I got that Frontier, that green bougie snowblower, and I got this nice red one, which, you know, I got to try to get some of these videos out this week and next week before the end of the season, right? Because I don't want to do snowblower videos in the spring. That would suck. So tonight I figured I would do a little bit on a blower, just a regular blower. It's a little leaf blower, like a quick video I want to put out there to smoke. But nothing has sold. Nothing is selling. Part of it is because where I live, there's a couple of things there with that. We haven't had any snow. We had a dusting. I think I showed some of you fellas that in one of the videos. That's it. And it has threatened to snow, but it's been raining and it's been fairly nice out. And even today, I was working on a pressure washer and using my other pressure washer, and I was outside. I did a quick rinse and, you know, pressure wash. Stuff got a little frozen the other night. You know, that's to be expected. Hold on, let me get myself comfortable. Let me check to make sure everything is working. Let's see. Yeah, all right. Looks like it is. I think I have audio. I should. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I kind of hear it. And so I got this camera looking at me, and I got this camera sort of looking at these screens here. So I want to give you guys some tips and tricks and stuff, and just to show you behind the scenes, like what I do when I video edit. Yeah, I know, TJ. We're waiting. I don't know what to say. It's like I have not. Let's see, what does Brad say? TJ says waiting for the snow. Brad says you might. I used to deliver to the Bronx weekly and have noticed New York City weather is kind of finicky. Oh my God, has it been? A few years back, we were getting pummeled with snow. It was like relentless, huge amounts, and then the drifts. Got these two snow blowers. They're just sitting here. And like I said, part of it is because New Yorkers, you know, Long Islanders in particular, because upstate, there's different weather depending on where you are. A lot of you guys know New York is huge. It's just huge. I could drive from here 10 hours, 11 hours. You got to figure there's some traffic too. And I'm still not in Canada yet. So they're finicky here. The weather is finicky. The people are finicky. They don't. I dropped the prices on those snow blowers to $350, and nobody. They're like looking at it, but one guy said, "I'll take it tomorrow for $150." I didn't even answer him. That's like an insult. Like, I'm not going to talk to somebody that does, you know, that has that mentality. So you're not a customer. No, I'm not selling it for $150. You know, I need the cash because I'm like broke, but what are you going to do? I'm not selling it for $150. I'll hold on to it. If it snows, the price goes up. If I don't sell it this year, I'm going to sell them next year. But in the meantime, I got to get to doing other things. So I just can't believe it. It just hasn't done anything. And then with the economy being in the toilet, you know, down here, people think, well, if I could, you know, the weather's nice, you know, spring, you know, right? They're just thinking that way. And they're thinking, well, if I can get by the next couple of weeks, maybe the next month, if I can get through February, I'll shovel, right? Or maybe I'll pay somebody a couple of bucks to get rid of the snow. Or I'll just wait until, you know, the sun melts it. And it's really expensive here, right? So there's that. People are feeling the pinch. And New York, Long Island being one of the most expensive places to live, probably shy of somewhere in California, right? We all know, you know, there's areas there that, you know, either California is like ridiculously expensive to live in, or people are living on the street and, you know, or nobody wants to live in some places in California. So, what's up, Backwoods? All right, so we're Backwoods here. Says, It's just good evening. So tonight, I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I want to try to get some more videos done. And a lot of times I like to do them on the weekend, right? Because it's when I have time. Maybe I'm a little bit more awake. So I wanted to talk a little bit about behind the scenes and a little bit of video editing. And I wanted to start off with, obviously, first saying hello to everybody. And I'm going to be working in a program that's called DaVinci Resolve. And Blackmagic is the company that makes the program. So Blackmagic makes cameras and gear and all kinds of stuff for, you know, the industry. And it's a while back that they started with this program. They offer it for free, so you guys can actually get this if you want to try it out. It's pretty much for PC. I don't know if there's anything that would work on a phone, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So you can run it on a PC or a Mac. It doesn't have to be anything super powerful, but the more powerful your computer is, laptop, notebook kind of thing, right, the better it's going to work, right? So at some point I will go over a little bit of, on another episode, you know, some of like what's in my computer. That's over here. And it's down here. So I actually just did a little bit more work to it. I burned out a hard drive the other day. One of the last hard drives that's been sitting around for a while and I've been using. Actually, no, I burned out another hard drive, and then this one is actually one that I bought, but I didn't have any money really. So years ago when I was running like game servers and stuff, I used to buy like factory refurbished hard drives. And I bought one, it was pretty cheap. It was a really nice Western Digital Gold, but it didn't last. Because I'm taking these big video files and I'm shoving them onto a hard drive on my computer, and then I'll copy them off to somewhere else, and then I'll delete, and it's a lot of work, right? So just keep in mind that if you ever start doing any like real video work of any real kind on a consistent basis, you want to get some good hard drives to work off of, whether they're portables that you can plug into your computer, which is a good way to do it. I saw some good sales recently as well. So I bought another hard drive, put it in there, cleaned up the computer, literally washed all the filth out of it. And one of the other issues I have, guys, is that I'm working in a shop, as you know, and even though I try to keep it clean in here, sooner or later the dust builds up and stuff will get weird. The computer will get weird. It'll start acting up. Sometimes things burn out. Some of this dust, you guys know, when you start like derusting something, all that iron oxide dust and stuff goes into the air. It starts laying on everything and it will get pulled into the computer. I do have filters that I made and some filters that came with the fans, and that grabs a lot of it. But what I've noticed is that it filters the dust, and what gets through is the really fine dust, and it will stick. So Brad says, Christ, I paid $125 for that ST504 Arians and put another 300 into. Wow. So the dust is laying on the computer, the different parts, and that dust is conductive. It's semiconductive. And so what a computer is made out of? Semiconductors. Right? So sooner or later you got issues. Now, you know, I just put out the video on the Arians, and I didn't know what to do with this video. It's like 2 hours long, and I'm sorry. I might actually pull it and change it and then re-release it. I have other videos to get out. This is a point of view from a YouTuber, and you guys comment on this, please, because whether you're a YouTuber or not, everybody watches YouTube videos. So we're all YouTubers because we watch YouTube videos. And from your point of view, share with me. So it's getting close to the end of the season. It's a snowblower, right? Snowblowers on a channel like mine, you got to get your snowblower stuff out in a narrow window. And then we have spring coming up, which is, you know, we need to take advantage of the spring and pump everybody up and pump our channels up. And I'm excited, right? We're all, I'm sure, very excited. I got to get the damn snowblower stuff out. But I have this cool old Ariens that I went through. I went through the motor, a whole bunch of other stuff. It took me quite a while. It was a lot of effort to do all of this. And I narrowed the video down to 2 hours because it's like a restore. It's a restore of an old thing. It's 60 years old. Like it's, well, all right, it's like 58. That's like 60 years old, right? So you got a 2-hour video. What the hell do you do with it? I know plenty of people that release like 1 and 2 hour videos. They're bigger than me. Maybe they're more interesting. Maybe their stuff is more interesting. Maybe their channel is just more mature, or all of the above. And they can get away with it. So I'm thinking, well, I've had some of my friends say to me, no, split it into 3, split it into 4. That way you can do like intros and flashbacks, and then you'll get like 7 times more views, and you can have ads, and you make more money. I'm like, first of all, this one is not about making money. This one's not about even growing the YouTube channel. I'm looking at this cool old Ariens, and I know that the people that are interested in it are like me, or like some of you guys, right? Maybe not all you guys, but some of you guys. And, you know, if I split it into 2 videos, that's still 2 1-hour videos. That's still considered to be a long video in a long format on YouTube. And then like 3, it's like 45-minute videos-ish. That's still long, right? And then sometimes you don't find the other part, and you come in the middle, and you miss. I figured, you know what? I don't know what to do with it. I want to get it done. I want to get it out. I'm not really that interested on whether or not it gets like 1 million views. I'd like to keep it together. I got other stuff to do, so I just released it. This is like the agony that some of us YouTubers, I'm sure, go through. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? I can't make it really short. I would be cutting out some, I think, interesting content. Yes, I could have separate videos, and I could show just the beginning, like the introduction, cleaning it up, some cool stuff. That I could maybe show how I came across the motor, where it came from, taking it apart, kind of getting it ready. I saw a natural break, and then I could maybe do a 3rd part or a 2nd part or whatever, and we could, you know, go over the motor and get it running and put it on the machine and kind of tune it and whatever. And then, you know, I could have done it like that, but I don't know. So if you guys have any comments, comment here or on that video. Let me know, you know, some advice or what you think you would have done different, or how you would like to see it. Is there stuff that I just shouldn't have shown in it? You know, you could just like skip that. Nobody cares. See, to me, I'm interested in all of it. So I don't know what people like. Like, I have a few videos. I have a video, 2 videos on ignition coils, and they have well over 100,000 views. I would never think that that would be a thing. Like, I have no idea what people like. I don't pretend to think like that. All right, so I want to get into doing some video editing. And before I get started, I mentioned DaVinci Resolve, made by Blackmagic. They make a lot of really cool stuff for the industry. And like a lot of companies today, you know, YouTube's been around for a while now, and a lot of them have woken up and said, holy shit, there's a whole market here of people that are looking to be YouTubers and are looking for equipment. Now, those people can introduce our products, and they can work with them, and they can buy them a lot cheaper than, you know, we'll make consumer grade stuff that's semi-pro. And for example, these cameras, right, they're half the price or so of a professional, real professional camera. They may not have as many features and everything, but they're still expensive, but they're a lot cheaper. So this is the direction the company has gone in. And with the software that we're going to look at in a minute, they have looked at the other markets and Adobe and what have you, and they've said, all right, we're gonna sell the product. It's about $300 for the base package, which covers pretty much everything you would ever need. Even in the free version, it's got a little bit of crippling going on. But even in the free version, it's really useful. It's really, really good. As opposed to like Adobe and some of the others, where it's all like leased software. You lease it. If you want to use it, every month you have to pay a certain amount to have the privilege of using that product, and you never own it. So here's something where you get to use it for free. It blocks out a few advanced features, which I don't really use. I mean, if they were available, I'd use them, but I don't absolutely need them. The only thing that is part of the paid version that I would really like is that when you go to render a video, you're done editing and you want to click the render button, which just basically takes everything that you've done and bundles it all up into a single file. And that's what you can watch on your computer or something else, or upload to YouTube. And when it does that in the free version, it doesn't use the power of a really nice video card, or any video card, really. It just relies on the CPU to crank out all this conversion process. And so for, let's say I have a half-hour product and I want to render it down, it's going to take like a half hour or more to render it, because it's missing a lot of the power of this computer. And it should take a few minutes. So, but, you know, I render videos when I'm just sort of hanging out, surfing YouTube and watching other people's stuff. And that's how it's been. And I have to say, I'm very happy with the product. So, now before I get started, I wanted to mention, so look. So if I need to adjust my camera, by the way, all right, yeah. So this is connected to that camera, and I could make adjustments and such over here, and I don't have to get up and adjust the camera. And I can also control this camera too if I want, but I'm just not, because I'm really relying more on this one. So Brad, you like the video? Even though it's like 2 hours, but it's almost a 60-year-old machine that if next year, you know, if I could survive this winter, disabling financially and everything, if we can all survive, right? They don't blow us up with nukes and stuff. If next year I come into that machine, new belts, de-rusting, get that frozen wheel hub off, tire chains, clean everything up, finish it up, I'll have a 50, almost 60-year-old Aaron's machine that is fully functional and beautiful, ready to take on whatever job that we need to put it up against, right? You know, within reason, right? Because it's a smaller machine. How do you beat that? And I really haven't spent any money on it. It was just like time, and because I like to collect motors, you know, and parts and stuff, then I'll have like a mint, really cool old machine. And I don't know, to me, that's just, that's a wet spot, right? You know, I got to go change my underwear kind of thing. So, all right, let me just grab a sip. So now, some of the guys that I've spoken to on here, you guys have your YouTube channels and you're doing it on your cell phone. Now, that's a separate thing. I don't do that, although I do record some stuff with some of my cell phones, like this one here that I'm using to monitor the camera. And it's very useful. I want to make a complaint, right, and just bitch a little bit. Now, a lot of people today are watching YouTube on cell phones. I do occasionally, but I stay away from it because I don't see well. It's like I used to. And what I find is that the cell phone, a lot of people view their cell phone like this, in this direction. And my stuff is all widescreen. So if you want to watch somebody like me, turn it this way. And a lot of people forget to do that. So all of the shorts that are out there today and TikTok and all this other stuff is all in this format, which is crap because you can't see anything. It's fine for a 2-minute video that is literally saying nothing, that you can't learn anything from. It's just purely for entertainment with some chick or guy or whatever showing you something silly, and a minute later they're gone and you don't even know who they are. Like, you don't even care. Nobody really follows a lot of that. People that do stuff like I do, you can't show anything in this format. And even this way, width-wise, it's difficult to see. Now, Rain had mentioned to me, and you guys probably know him, he said, Arch, do more close-ups because I'm watching on the phone, and it is very hard to see. Now, that's a great piece of advice. So I've been trying to find ways of getting closer. A lot of guys use GoPros, and GoPros don't zoom in well. They do. The only way they could do it is digitally, and it just doesn't come out as nice. I have real lens on this camera, so I can get in real close. That's actually optically zoomed in. So that's a good piece of advice, keeping that in mind, right? But you still can't see anything. So one suggestion I will make, and I thought about it before I started the show, so I'll do this again. I'm going to actually go and get the thing I'm talking about. I have a device upstairs that I can broadcast from my phone. Now, some of the new phones, some of the new monitors, some of the new TVs already have this built in, but you can get these devices. They're very inexpensive. And you can broadcast from your laptop to a TV or any bigger monitor, or your phone to any bigger monitor. And it's not expensive for stuff like this. You don't have to get like super high-end 4K monitors or TVs. You could just have, if your cell phone is like your main thing, you could just broadcast any show that you want to watch, Netflix or anything else, to something larger and sit back and enjoy, right? Just enjoy it. Especially for us fellas that are getting a little bit older, right? I mean, I don't want to have to watch a TV, right, with my glasses on. I hate even doing this. So that's something that I want to maybe, you know, kind of when I do like a hardware thing or something on a video, I'm going to go get that damn thing, and I'm going to show you guys how I broadcast from my laptop to a bigger monitor, or hook it up to either this or one of the other things. So that's a comment and a complaint. It's very hard to do what I'm doing and to show everything really super close and get into that granular and have it be on a phone. I watch everything on these monitors, usually one monitor at a time, but this is 27 inches, right? My daughter has a bigger, you know, monitor / TV than this. I think I got one similar to this in my room. There's one in the living room that is huge that I never use. Some of these things today come already where you can connect them to YouTube and Netflix and everything else. So I highly recommend it. But the problem is for creators, for somebody like me, a lot of this stuff, you just can't see it. All right, so let's get started. So let me see how I want to do this, because I've never actually done this before. So what I want to show you guys as I get going is I want to give you a look at my monitors. So I guess that's the first step. And I'm going to show you how I actually set up and some tips and tricks. So first, let me bring up a monitor. All right, we're going to do, I think maybe we'll do the main monitor. Yeah, we'll do that now. All right. Let's see if I can get it. It's one of these monitors. All right, this is the right monitor. Let me see if I can get the main monitor up. All right, now that, what you're looking at right now is Sony. My Sony camera actually came with some software, which is pretty cool. And that's what you're looking at. Now let me see if I can, I had the main monitor working before. Primary monitor, capture cursor. Yeah, I could see it. So how come I can see it on here? There we go. So this is my main monitor. So now I can, this I just set up. So now I can toggle between my right monitor and my main monitor, which is the main in the center. And so this is just YouTube's console for me. So I'm going to minimize that. And I'm going to open up DaVinci Resolve, which is just a shortcut right here on my desktop. So starting fresh, this is kind of my evening, right? This is what I do. It takes a little bit. So now that that's up, I'm going to need to make a folder. And you could see the sort of layout of this here. There's just a bunch of stuff in here. So I'm going to right click and go new folder. And we're just going to call this thing home light blower. So now everything can stay within this folder. Now I'm going to do a new project. Home light blower. All right, so here we are. This is the main screen for DaVinci Resolve, and it's got like all your typical stuff at the top, right? You know, file, edit, trim, etc. This is a media pool over in this area in the upper left. So I'm going to drag the first video into that, and you could see that right here. So here's all my videos, right, that I'm going to start working with. And that's not all of them. It's actually the ones that happen, you can see within Display Memories home. So again, Sony, these are Sony cameras. They came with this product. I find it works pretty good. I'm able to manage my videos, create, you know, simple timelines with it, folders and categories. And we're actually looking at, this is a separate hard drive. So we're actually looking at a different hard drive. There's 2 hard drives it's looking at. And this is, these are the folders that I have associated in the main folder. So this is the first one. This is like an opening scene. And I'm going to go drag that. Let's go back to the other monitor. There we go. So I'm just going to drag it right into the media pool. And there's a number of ways of doing this. It's asking me if I want to change the frame rates. So I run different frame rates on these cameras. So without getting too technical at the moment, just understand that 30 frames, 60 frames, that's typically what I'm working with. And generally speaking, you want to work with 30 frames per second. So this is just me sitting here doing something. Before I create a timeline, I'm just going to override a setting. And I'm going to go into settings. And I actually have it set to Ultra HD, which is 4K. We're going to change that for this project to 1080p. So I just overrid it. You can see here it's in 29.97 frames. And I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to create a new timeline. And there it is, right? So that's my first clip. Now, if it was all in this folder, I could have grabbed all of those clips and copied them all at once right into a timeline. But I'm just going to do it one at a time. Now, I don't know if I can hear this or not. Yeah, I may not be able to hear it. Let's see. We'll go to desktop audio and open it. Let's see. Yeah, I may not be able to hear it. Let's see. Let's see it. One similar to it. Two-stroke. I usually use it for blowing out the shot. No, I don't want it to echo. So occasionally what I'll do is stop. I'll do this. I'll kind of like clip it out. Unfortunately, I don't know how to change that. So whenever I go to edit, when I record a video, I always record a video and I start off with silence. I don't say anything. I don't do anything. I hold the camera still. And I let it run for a few seconds. And then I start talking. That gives me some room, like something like over here, to where I can cut it. And I just split that file. And now I'm going to make sure it's highlighted. I'm going to hit the delete button, and it's going to remove that excess. And then what I'll do is I'll come up over here to transitions. And I like simple transitions. Occasionally you'll see me use something silly. But this is just a basic color dissolve transition. I'm going to grab that and just drop it right on that clip in that timeline. And you'll see what it'll do. See? It just kind of faded in from black. Now, I'm going to buzz to the end, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find my last bit of speech. All right. And then I held my position for a minute. and then I'm going to cut it and get rid of the excess. And so that's nice. It's simple. Okay. Now let me just go search real quick for the next piece, and let's go over to the other monitor. Yeah, we'll go to this monitor. And just to orient myself. All right, so these are just some shots I take to lay over an intro. So this is what's known as B-roll. So you'll actually see me lay it over. And I'll show you how I do that in a minute. So this is a nice technique if you want to, just this one technique. All right, let's come back. So I'm going to grab one of these. And it doesn't really matter because I can always fix it later. Let's go back to the main monitor. So here's a tip for anybody that want, just one simple thing, right, to make your video a little bit more interesting is to do something like this. Now let me just hear it. Little home light leaf blower. They call it. There we go. So I said home light leaf blower. Let me mute that. So here we go. I laid it literally right on top of the timeline that I already started. And I'm going to split it, remove the excess, and then I'm going to do a little cross dissolve here. So this is, I went over to my little toolkit over here on the video and transitions, and I added just a little bit. I can adjust that too. I can lengthen it. I can shorten it. But let's just see how it lays in there. Let me shut up for a second. Light leaf blower. They call it the yard broom. That's really what it is. I have one similar to it. See? Now, something simple like that. Now, as the camera shakes a little bit, because I'm getting ready to move my hand and shut the camera off, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to grab the next little clip. Now, these have some audio on them because I'm making noise. You can't hear it, but I'm actually making noise in these. And you could almost see, you may not be able to see it, but I can actually see the audio channel down here. So I know it's making noise, so I'm going to shut off the audio on these clips. And there's a thing in this program called the inspector, and it's really neat. It's up in the upper right-hand side here. You could leave it open, leave it up. There's different panels that you can use here. I just clicked a tab down below here. This is actually the editing pane where a lot of this stuff can be laid out. I can see audio. I can see all kinds of kind of cool stuff that if I want to fool around with. But I'm going to go back to the main cut page. This is called the cut page. So you can see it's very easy to do things like simple cuts, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to go over to the audio tab, and I don't have to teach you, like everything, but just so you can get some ideas. I just killed the audio on that channel. And I'm also going to kill the audio on this clip. And now I'm going to put a little transition in, and I'm going to use a dip to black transition. And let me find the end of this. That's good. Oh, a little bump there. I'm getting ready to move my hand. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to put a little color dissolve here. And the neat thing about this is that, it's another little tip here, is I'm actually recording these little B-roll segments in 60 frames. But my timeline is in 30. So if I feel like it's moving too fast, or maybe it's a little bumpy, see how quick that was? Maybe I don't want it to be that quick. I can actually change its speed. So I'm going to halve it to 30 frames. It's running at 60, so I'm going to halve it to 30 frames. Let's see if I can always adjust this. And now let's scrub past. This is called scrubbing, right? And I'm going to do one more thing here. Hold on. I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see it. No, I don't want to do that. Cancel you. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to blow it up. All right, I have another program I'm running on macros. So now it's full screen. All right, let's see. Leaf blower. They call it the yard broom. That's really what it is. I have one similar to it. Two-stroke. All right, that's a little too slow. Out the shop and some light duties. So let's just change the speed back. I'm gonna go to like 60%. That should do it. That's really what it is. I have one similar to it. Two-stroke. There you go. I usually use it for blowing out the shop and some light-duty stuff around. That works. The shop in the yard, and there's still pretty decent machines you can find if you. All right, now. If you let me kill that. So I'm going to go to the end, and what I'm doing right now is trying to rough out a video. Just to see, you know, how everything lays out. I don't have to do every little detail yet. So let's go find the next clip and see what I would like to put in the timeline. So here's a wash clip. Now sometimes I don't edit right away. And it might be that a month later or a year later I might go to edit. So I have to watch some of this stuff again to see what the hell's going on. There we go. We could use that clip. You can always move stuff around. I'm going to drag some of this stuff into my timeline. And let's see if we can hear it. All right, so this clip is a little bit different. Now, what I can do with this clip, since there's no audio on it, I can use it as B-roll. So rather than force everybody to watch me washing this thing or whatever, I could drop this whole clip segment, and let's look at it in full screen. All right, I could just drop it on top of my intro as I'm talking about it. And rather than make you watch this all over again on top of me doing a long and boring intro, I can spice up an intro by dropping this on top. So we're not going to use this here. We're going to go get the next one. And let me see what we got. Well, let's see. What do we have here? Oh yeah, we got the next one. Choke. That's choke. I think that's high. All right, now. Just check to see what's going on in the channel here. Wow, you can see everything, Brad? That's good. So how big is your tablet? Usually tablets are like what? Like up to about 17 inches is like considered to be like a decent sized tablet. I think is what that is. Yeah, let me bring you. So just a couple of tips right there. You know, even before I continue, those B-roll, some basic fades. I don't use a lot of crazy fades. You'll see me use it sometimes. Sometimes I put it to music and I find the beat point, and you know, I look for the timing and the beat point, and I'll do splashes and all kinds of other silly things. But just in a regular video, I just like two basic things, which is a very simple sort of fade to black back and forth, and I can adjust the timing of it and the length of it, and then I'll do a crossfade, which kind of blurs things out. It's very nice if I want to zoom in or zoom out and I want to hide something, or if I do a weird cut and it kind of comes out weird, I can get rid of some issues, you know. So let's see. I want to get to the next thing. So now I'm going to go grab a bunch of clips and drop them on. Now, intros, by the way, when I do the B-roll intro stuff, it usually takes me a little bit longer because I do different kinds of intros, but on an intro like this where I'm just sort of sitting down and telling you about what I want to do, having that B-roll to me is really important, because rather than just sit there and look at me as I sit on a chair or stand up talking and blabbing about something, I can actually show you what the hell I'm talking about. So, for example, I might mention that, let's get this thing cleaned up first and everything. I can grab that clip with SuperClean and everything, and I can just drop it over me talking, and I can accomplish two things at the same time. So consider that at some point, that's what I'm going to do with the intro. And sometimes I do my intros separately. I don't even do them in the main timeline. I do them separate. And it might be because there's audio issues or something I just want to concentrate on. All right, let's get to the rest of it. All right, let's bring DaVinci back up. Wow, look at that mug. What an ugly mug that is. Look at that. Look at this guy. Who is this guy? Right? There's a smirk on my face. Man, you used to be like an okay looking guy. Like, time just ruins you. It just takes you out, doesn't it, fellas? Maybe you guys it doesn't, but let's see. So I just grabbed another clip, and I can see audio coming up, so I don't have to hear it. If I turn DaVinci on, it's going to make me echo a little. I don't know how to solve that yet. So let's split it here. All right, now I might put something like, let's take a look and see. I might say, you know what? I did a little intro. Maybe I want to put something like this in. And before I get in, I just dragged a clip. This is a clip of one of my sort of segue things. And this is an Arch's Garage intro. So you can see how this lays out. Now let me shut up and I'll show you. Let me hit my save button. So let's get started. So I've taken a few moments out to get it all clean. There's still some gook on it, but we're fine. And you can see there's gook in here. It might lag a little bit, guys, because I'm live using a lot of resources. Right, we'll clean that out later. I took the cover off. Right, should have taken the cover before I cleaned it. And I can already see here, right there, we have a break in the fuel line, which is the most common thing right here. We have a little break right there. So we're going to replace these fuel lines. All right, I'm going to stop it right there. Now, let me kill the echo. Now, here's a problem that I have. Now, this is not the better camera. And notice I'm pointing to this fuel line. And it's not really zoomed in well. And I changed the camera setting, and I'm not happy with this camera setting. To me, it looks a little fuzzy. But I would like to show you what I'm pointing out, and here's the problem I have. If I had chosen a different setting, or if I was using the other camera, which the other camera is too heavy for an overhead shot currently, I don't have a fixture for it, it wouldn't be so fuzzy. And here's why I say. So, in a perfect world, I would, and you see me do this before, and when I get the shot right, I put a split right here on the bottom. I'm going to scrub forward a little bit. About here-ish. Okay. And I'd like to show you that. So right about here is good. I'm going to put another cut or another split. I'm going to back up to that point. I'm going to change fields. Now, there's different menus that you can work in here, right? You have audio menus, you can do color, you can do all kinds of different things. I'm going to change the menu. I'm going to highlight the clip, and I'll come over to this inspector, and I'm going to make sure it's clicked to the video tab, and I'm going to what's known as punch in. Now, if the footage was a little bit better, I could go in deep, but it's not, like I said, it's soft. So I'm actually going to zoom in. This is called punching in, really. I'm going to make an adjustment. And now you see that what's actually happening is I'm physically, instead of optically and physically getting in closer, I'm digitally punching in, and I'll show you that right now. See? Now you see how soft it is? But, and there we go, and we backed out. And if I want to make that transition a little softer, I can take my cross dissolve, I can put it at that break point, and I find that the default setting is a little bit too rough. I'll scrub back a little bit, and let's go look at it. See? So now you can see what the hell, and see the transition, how it's soft, in a soft way it came out. Now let's let it go. We see a fuel line. You always kind of take your pictures, fellas. So you see a fuel line here, right? And it's coming up over to the left-hand side of the carburetor. They both are. I can't see much of anything else, but let me see. Yeah, okay. So as a mental note, right, the one that broke, which goes to the rear hole, that comes to the side of the carburetor on the left-hand side. Okay, it's lower down. The one up here. Now I'm going to shoot forward on this, you know, towards the end and find my spot where I stopped talking. Now I have a number of other advantages here by doing it like this, right? So what you just saw, you know, let me come back to me. So what you just saw me do is I digitally punched in like that, but I did it digitally as opposed to optically. Now optically is better. I'd like to do a video on the differences on this, just one quick video on it by itself. With my 4K camera and the big lens, when I'm looking at something like this, I can optically zoom in because it has a very nice lens. Or I can, right now it's actually optically zoomed in to my monitors. Running in 4K, because the resolution is higher, the quality is better, it's not going to have a soft image if I get everything right. So I can either optically zoom in, or like I'm sitting here in editing and I'm like, oh crap, I'm pointing to something I want to show everybody, I can digitally punch in. And if I'm using all 4K, the quality is so much better. You could see in that little segment piece that it's not that good. It's later on I changed the camera setting a little bit and it got better. And that's my cheaper camera, which only runs in 1080p. And you'll see this a lot, especially with like GoPros. And if the lighting isn't good, particularly with a GoPro, it will look like that. If you're just using a cell phone and you're trying to mount it over something, you could try to digitally zoom in, but it's going to give you a soft image, or you could try to physically point at something. Those are your options. Now, sometimes I grab a cell phone, or if I'm not using that camera as an overhead, or I have the other camera available, I will physically take the camera and get as close as possible with as much light as possible. That's always the best way. But if you're trying to work on something and things are moving quick, it's not always an option. This is a way for you to get a shot that you didn't think you could get. And it makes people think like you have another camera too. Like they're not really sure how you got that shot. And you did it in software like this, which is why I say, you know, if you're using a little bit better software and you have a little bit better camera, and if you get used to what you're doing with your cameras and you can get a good shot in the first place, you have like so many more options available to you. Now, I screwed that shot up, right? I left that camera in a setting that I don't like. It's an automatic setting, is what it is. Most people run, like cell phones pretty much, or when you're going to be using a cell phone or, you know, camera system like this, it's almost always going to be an automatic. They have very limited controls in manual. This camera is set to manual right now, and so is this one. And that's why I can control this camera with this thing, because it's set in manual mode. So I can adjust the image And there's a lot of, depending upon the camera and the controller that you have, or physically standing behind the camera, right, you can do anything you want that the camera will let you do. You just have to know what the hell you're doing. It just takes practice. It's not really that hard. So that's another neat little tip. And DaVinci makes it really easy. You could see the layout of these screens. Once you know where this stuff is, it makes it really easy. And sometimes what people will see me do is this. Let me go back. Go back to the main monitor. Sometimes what'll happen is I won't like what's going on there. I just won't like it. I'm like, it's a little cheesy, you know. I don't really like that. It's like kind of soft. So what I'll do is I'll go to my edit page. I'm like, let me see if I can kind of get it to be not so, you know, kind of fudge it a little. So I'll put, I'll click on these little tabs here, and what that does, it's called a keyframe, right? But you don't really, you know, you don't need to know all of that if you don't know it. All I'm doing is placing a marker. So I'm zoomed in this far, but I'm going to start to zoom out a little bit towards the end of this clip so that you're not looking at the sins. And I'm going to pull that zoom out a little. All right, not all the way, but out a little bit. And now let's replay it, and you'll see what I just did. Punch in, and you see how it's relaxing out? And the transition is not as harsh either. All right. So there's a couple of cool things about doing something like that. Let me go back to me. Now, this is all stuff that you learn, by the way, and when you go to school for. I actually went to school for a lot of this stuff years ago, like when I was a kid. So another thing about doing something like that, especially if it's, you know, what I'm doing is I zoomed in or punched in a lot, and then I pulled out a little bit at a time. You're actually creating movement when you're doing that. And if you have like a segment that isn't moving for a period of time, you can do these things. You can cut it up. You can slowly move in or slowly move out. And sometimes it's really imperceptible, but they'll do stuff like that. And to the mind, it actually sort of tricks the mind a little bit. It creates a sense of movement, and it's another trick in the gig bag. So just little techniques that you know, if you could do a lot of this stuff on almost any program, even on a cell phone. Believe it or not, you could do all of this stuff. It's just how easy it is to create these situations. Let me come back to the main monitor. Let me grab the next segment. So I'm going to go back to my cut page. Now this is called the cut page, and it's called the cut page because the way it's laid out, it can only do a few functions well, and predominantly that function is cutting. So let me find the end. Okay, that's pretty much the end. All right, there we go. I moved away, and I'm going to get rid of that extra bit of leader. And let's come to another segment. So when I start to do a video, what I'm looking for is, like I said, just to rough it out. I generally don't do all of these like granular things to start off with, because then I would be chasing my tail. What I'm really looking for is to get everything banged out and get an overall time length. So I'm going to go right to the end of this segment. I'm going to find my end. There we go. We threw the rag down. All right, that's a nice little signal, right? Throwing a rag down is a nice way of saying, to me, I'm done with this, right? So I can visually see something. All right, I'm going to kind of move this forward. Going to find the beginning. Turn the audio on. There's a little peek in there. There we go. So between, hold on, echo. So between segments, I have an option. I went from one segment to another segment. All right, I have an option. I could put in a break, a commercial break. I could put in a transition, or I could just take, I'm finishing one thought and I'm starting another. And I could do something like this. Just fade to black. All right, why get crazy about it? Fade to black, open up a new segment. So you have a lot of options. Now here's another little cool thing. And so let's go, we're going to go out of the cut page, and this is actually the edit page because it has all of the editing things that you can play with on this page. It's just another tab down here at the bottom, and it gives you a different view and some different access. Now, I'm looking down from the cameras above. I'm looking down and I'm looking towards me. And that's not a very natural view. Right? Most guys that you see doing this stuff is kind of an over-the-shoulder view, like my second camera setup here tonight. Okay, well, some things you can show like this. It's not an issue. But if it feels really unnatural or things just aren't working out right or you want more natural view, we can fix that. So I'm in the edit page. I'm in the video tab over here under my inspector. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to flip it in two directions. Boop. Boop. All right. Now we're over the shoulder. So let's go take a look at that. Let's back up. A decent amount. All right. Let me shut up. Shut up. Volume on. Volume on. And here we go. And here we go. And I want my doggy to go out. Let's go get Mr. Dog. There's a little peek in there. All right, so I got the air cleaner off and the bolt's holding this on. This will just slide right out. All right, we're going to take a look at the carburetor first. So you see what I mean? You see what I mean? Yeah, let's go. Now, I am not happy at all with this shot. I don't like it. It's really soft. The camera looks like crap. But it's a simple video. It's going to be a pretty short video. And it's just for the people that kind of, maybe they want to fix their home light leaf blower thing. So I'm not going to cry over it, but this is the kind of quality you'll see from a lot of cameras out there today, especially running in automatic. And I hate it. Like, I can tell. And then what's gonna be worse, hold on, let me come back to me so I can complain right to you guys. What I really hate about it is the quality of this is okay. It's okay. It's 1080p. It's not great. Trying to zoom in, you can really see that the quality isn't all that good. But we're watching it on a decent monitor in my computer with its MP4. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of compression. Then go upload it to YouTube and wait till you see what YouTube does to it, right? They're going to just rip it apart and compress the hell out of it, and it's just going to look like total crap. And I hate that. So, the answer to that is Boneyard says, what is that, 6x, hold on, let me back up. So Brad says 6x12 maybe. That sounds about right. That's a pretty decent, he's talking about his, what was the thing called again? Was it not a laptop? It's a notebook, whatever. What did you call it? My tablet, right? He's got a tablet. Brad's got a tablet. Boneyard says small engine repairs. Hi, Arch. And all, so let's all say hi to Boneyard. Thanks for stopping in, brother, man. So, like a 6x12 tablet, something around that size, I find that that's like a nice size for a lot of things. You can watch stuff, you can see stuff. On a lot of them, you can go like this, just like on a cell phone. You can take your two fingers and you can kind of zoom in. It's all touch control. It's really nice. And a lot of the editing softwares will work with tablets. So it's just that it's going to be slower, right? Like with me, when I'm scrubbing, when I show you that I'm dragging the cursor and I'm taking the timeline and I'm dragging it. Remember like over the playhead, remember the cassette tapes and stuff? And you could like rewind and stop and like you're scrubbing the tape over the playhead. Well, they still use that terminology here. You're scrubbing it. And if you're either in too high of a resolution or you don't have enough hardware ass, right, power behind it, it will lag and jump, and it just won't work. It won't work right. So this computer is not, it's not a new computer. It's actually an old computer, but it was a really good computer when I bought it, and I've upgraded it. And that'll be a separate video, but with faster hard drives and things. And so that allows me to scrub back and forth really easy. So I don't have to wait, wait for something to materialize. And you guys remember, like, back in the day with like Windows 95 and crap and a web page. You remember, like, you'd click on a web page in the early days and it would load a little bit at a time, and like a bar would come down, and then little pieces would start popping up. And that's after you waited, because first you had to connect to where the web page was. So if you don't have a fast enough computer, and if you're trying too much of a resolution with your files and the quality is too high, that's when you're going to start running into problems. Now, when you take video with something like a cell phone, its bit rate is going to be very low. That's a good way of thinking about that, is the concentration of the quality, like all the bits and the cells and everything. How concentrated are they? The data throughput, in order to get like a really high quality video, is somewhere around, on average, about 100 megabits per second. So you have to pump 100 megabits of data in 1 second for however long you're recording to have something like 4K in a high quality format. That cheaper camera that you see me editing with right now is only capable max of 50. This is probably something like 12 or 20, right? So even though it's 1080p, it'll record in 1080p. Its data rate is much lower. So the concentration of the cells and everything that make up, trying to use simple words, that make up the file or the picture, right? It's not as good. So your overall picture quality is going to suffer a little bit, and it might look what I call soft. Well, this camera is way softer, but it's light, it's small, and it generally does the job. Let's get to the next part. All right, so let's see. Where am I? So I'm going to shoot to the end. And let's see. Let's go to the cut page. And so I'm scrubbing right now. Oh, I see audio. So I don't care what I'm saying. I'm just going to drop the next clip down. I'm going to grab it from my field. There it is. Now, if I don't like some of this stuff, I'll get rid of it. Or if I feel I'm actually watching over here, there's a time-lapse timer over here. So I'm at 11 minutes. And, you know, I may get rid of some of it. Let's see. I gotta listen. I'm gonna start. There it is. There it is. I'm not seeing the audio yet. Let it materialize. It's gonna slow my computer down a little bit because I'm broadcasting at the same time. Yeah, I don't see the audio yet. Let me widen this a little bit. There it is. Okay. Now I see it. I just had to change the resolution a little bit. There we go. So I might drop another cross dissolve. I'm going to go to the end of this clip. I see audio. It's catching up to itself now. All right. Now, I just see the rag drop. I don't know if you caught that, but let me show you. Zoom in. Watch the screen. Rag drop, right? That is to just kind of tell me, you know, you're done, right? Regardless of whatever else is left on this clip. I know I'm getting towards the end. I look at the rag drop, and the rag drops, things like that, help you to sync things if something's not right or whatever. It's just a thing that you learn to do as a trick. You might see. Let me see here. Let me come back to us. Sometimes I do multiple cameras, and I don't have expensive cameras. Expensive cameras do this thing called time code. It's a clock. And some of the more expensive cameras do it internally, and some of the professionals actually have a separate time code device that they bring with them and they plug things into. And no matter how many cameras or whatever's going on, everything gets a time code. You know exactly where everything is, and you can sync audio, because you might have a separate audio recorder. You might have different cameras. They're coming on at different times, so everything gets this one universal time code. That's money. Right? So what do you do when your cameras don't have that? Well, some of the old ways is one way you can do it is when I start recording, I try to start the cameras recording at the same time, and I come over to the cameras and I do this so that both cameras can see it. And then I could bring the camera views into the editor and I can line them up with the audio, and I watch it and look to see what's going on, and then I can align them. Now, that's not the only way to do it. There's other ways to do it. This software can actually align multiple camera views for you. If you have good audio and the audio is loud enough and there isn't any other noise or ambient noise, and you start the cameras pretty close in time, you can bring them into a field and the software will actually align it for you. And then you can sit there in the cut page and you can bring up a multi-camera view in this editor. And you can sit back and you can choose camera 1, you might hit number 1, camera 2, you might hit camera 2, and you can choose and go up, I want to go to camera 2 now. Oh, no, I went too early, hold on, you know, back up a little bit. All right, there it is. And then you can hit the number for that and you can sit there and watch what you're doing, and it will do it basically for you. In fact, this thing, they started to put AI into the software, and now it can do some automatic leveling of audio. It will do automatic noise cancellation, but that's on the paid version. Some of these features are actually available to me right now, but I do it manually. And I just want to show you guys, let's see what the time is. So I'm going to just go a little bit longer, and I think we're going to end it for tonight. Now I want to show you something else on this, just to tease you guys a little bit in case you might want a piece of software like this. So these are the tabs in the bottom. All right, and like I said, this is the cut page. This first one here has more to do with organization. It gives you information of the file, the name of the file, some of the details, the frame rate, etc. Right? I actually have it recording in 4 channels of audio, and I don't want to get into that now, but I actually have to mute down one of them because I can hear it. It's a little echoey. Over here, you could see all the hard drives that I have on the upper left-hand pane. So those are sources, like where I'm pulling my video stuff from. The next page is a cut page. That's what we were working in. And I'm down here on the bottom here, so my cursor's all the way down at the bottom. This is the edit page. So again, you have all kinds of tools, effects, adjustments. I can play with the audio. I have an inspector. I have a mixer. I can turn on and off. Edit page, right? This page here is for creating weird effects and doing complicated things. I'm not even going to get into that right now, but you can do things in this page. For example, if you were in my video and I asked you, would you like to be in my video? And you said, yeah, but don't show my face. I could create an effect to blank out your face and follow you. Wherever you go, it will always have, it could have a chicken on top of your head the whole time. I could make it happen in this page. In this page here, this is an edit, a different kind of an edit page. This page is about tweaking color adjustments, creating stills. There's a number of things I can do in this page. If it's too bright or not bright enough, I can make adjustments here in this page. Lots of things like that could be done. I can add interesting effects, 3D. This is advanced. And then it has an audio page, which is really powerful. So let me just back up a little bit. It's gonna rewind. So, you know, this way, because I don't want to get any of this garbage. So, you see some basic functions like audio levels. See them? And they're actually pretty close, right? They're not really in the red. I can make adjustments. I can add and remove audio tracks. There's also some pretty powerful things. I have a basic mixing board up here. But there's a whole lot more that can be done here. So if I have noise on a track, for example, if I want to EQ, this is an EQ. And I have some presets. So I made a preset. It's a general boost preset. So there's one. And that makes changes to the audio. I've got a little bit more bass. I got rid of some of the mid-range. I upped the high a little bit. I'm going to move that to another monitor. Right? I actually just moved it to another monitor. And then these are some basic things that you can do in terms of audio processing. So I could run, for example, I have another preset. I can expand the audio. I can compress it. So compression, I'll explain that in a minute. I can increase the gain. I can put a noise limiter on it. I could put a total limiter on it. So in case there's a loud sound and I want to make sure that there's no, like if you're banging with a hammer, and I don't want to peak everything out because I'm banging on something, I could limit all of that. It's a little bit more advanced, but you kind of get used to this stuff when you play around it and you study it. I can add things like reverb and echo and phaser and, you know, all kinds of really neat things that could be done in here. But this is a very basic one that I set up, and I find that this one with my preset in it, it does what I need it to do. It will compress the audio a little bit. So if I have a whole bunch of different audio channels from different cameras, like maybe two different audio channels from two different cameras, and they sound different, I can make them sound the same. If one's a little louder than the other, I can make them about the same volume. I can boost one and cut the other. So it's just kind of like stuff like that you can do. And then lastly, I'm going to move this out of my way, so I can actually take advantage of all these monitors in this program. And the very last page on this, fellas, is when you're done with your project and you've saved it, you can export it. And this is where the exporting is. And just a quick peek here, you'll see things like a custom export, an H.264, H.265. It gives you some presets for YouTube or Facebook. So if you're not really familiar with, you know, the naming conventions, it'll allow you to just say, all right, I want to just send it to YouTube. You know, let me click on the YouTube button, and it'll change things in this field here and make it a setting that's appropriate for YouTube. There's, like I said, there's others as well. There's Vimeo and Twitter and Dropbox and Final Cut Pro and all of these. These are presets. So you can export your file into a format that works with something like that. Some people just like to do Facebook or Zoom or I don't know. So it's just a good overview of like kind of like what's behind the scenes that I get to play with. You know, without getting too deep, I don't want to overwhelm anybody, but as a teaser, you know, I actually watch stuff on DaVinci so I could learn how to do some more of the complicated things. But once you've done it for a little bit, I can't imagine editing a video and with anything else, right? Because it fixes and tweaks and makes things the way I like it very simply. It's actually not hard for me, and it lays out nice. I can toggle quickly between the different panes. I can zoom in and zoom out. I can do all this kind of stuff. Not that it makes the video any better. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't care. I just enjoy it because I'm having fun with it. So that's my thing. Now, I watch videos sometimes on how to do a particular thing in DaVinci. You know, like if you want to just like learn how to make your audio louder. You know, so let's say you're recording something and you're like, that audio's not loud enough. Right? You don't have to live with that. Or you might, maybe the audio's too low. You could boost it up. So simple stuff like that can make your YouTube videos a lot better. It's like, I've logged in or checked out like somebody, that's not the right word, tuned in to somebody doing a YouTube video on something. And I'm like, I kind of want to see this, but I can't hear the person. And I turn my volume up on my computer or on my phone, and I still can't hear the person. They never really thought about the fact that their volume is too low. And they didn't do anything about it. And there's only so much you can do. Once it's been recorded, it's been compressed, and you can't necessarily fix it. If you're too far away from the microphone, and the audio, or maybe you're not turned to the camera properly, and it's just not picking you up, you can boost it, and you could make it the same as the rest of your audio. That's what compressors do. Not very good for music, but most music is compressed. But compressors what they kind of do is they take the low, they boost it up a little bit, they take the high, they bring it down a little bit, and instead of having a disparity like this from the lowest part to the highest part, you get a little bit more like that. A little bit closer to that. It's not perfect. If you overdo it, it sounds weird, but it can help, right? An expander will take the audio and it'll kind of open up the frequencies a little bit. So if it's a little too muffled or maybe a little too high or whatever, if it's just not, maybe you can expand it out and you can make it sound a little bit better. Not necessary for a lot of things, but there are moments when you want to do that. Like I said, I bang on the table, I hit things. That creates huge spikes in the audio. And if I don't tamp that down, it's a problem, right, for the person watching. The other thing, too, is if I go to turn a machine on or start an engine, I may want you to hear that engine, and so I'll leave it at an appropriate volume level. It might be louder than me speaking, which means it's even louder than that. That might be too much. So I can cut that down a little bit, bring it down to about the same level as me speaking. If it's something I'm going to do a lot of, like cleaning where the dentist drill is going, right, I'll bring that down. I'll put a cut from the moment that I stop speaking to where I go to start the tool up. I'll put a cut. I'll drop the volume down. I might run it for a few seconds just to show you that I'm doing this thing here. And then I'll cut it again, and I'll go find the next part of the segment where I'm not doing it, and then I'll fade it. I'll fade the audio and I'll fade the video so it doesn't look too sharp or too jittery. I give you a little shot or taste of that, yes, I'm actually grinding this thing. Look, it's real. And then I go to the end of the shot, and I go from there so you don't have to sit for 10 minutes while I'm grinding on something. And I think it's useful to show a little bit of the grinding rather than... because sometimes, like, I'm working on a project right now and it's kind of going pretty quick, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go grind this thing. I'm going to go clean it. I don't have to show you it all the time, but every now and then it's nice. So that's just a quick one. Just having some fun. A little teaser as to, like, what I do behind the scenes. I get to play with these cool cameras. I get to play with the computer. I think it's fun. If I was making money at this, it would be even more funner, YouTube gives me a few bucks. It's not like I don't make anything. But it's not like a job, like where you're showing up every day for work and you're getting paid. Lots of YouTubers make good money like that. And so they get to play with cool stuff. This is partly the hobby for me, because I like to fool around with the technology and enjoy it. So for me, it makes editing, which is like the drudgery. There are some people that don't like to edit. They don't edit at all, really, and you can tell, right? Their videos are still pretty good, but they do all the things. They leave all those things in the video that I would take out. Like they grab the camera and you go for a ride. It's all over the place. And then they put the camera down real hard, and then they start turning things, and you hear the camera straining in agony going, and you're like, whoa, and they're like, and then finally I'm like, step away from the camera now, please, right? Stop doing that. Or one of my other favorites too is that somebody will do, like, they'll talk to the camera, and this is like the most common noob thing to do. They'll be talking to the camera like this, and behind them is an open window or a bright light, and it doesn't create a halo. all you see is like a shadow of them and this blaring light, right? It's like, no, don't do that. It's horrible, right? It's like something like this. Actually, this light isn't all that bright, but it's like there's a window, right? And it's not really, you know, like I have a halo. Like you could make a hair light. This is a hair light, right? This is what they consider. There's a light right over here. And there's a couple of different names for it. You could use it as a hair light or a backlight. It's actually a side light. So if I had another light behind me, that would probably be more like a hair light. But this light is important, believe it or not. It's nice to have one other light. And another reason for a light on the side is, if you notice, this is what you do for when you're shooting people. What it does is it lights one side of the person's face. That's a common technique, especially nowadays. What that does is it creates depth. Because keep in mind, we're filming in 2D, really. It's not 3D. It's 2D. So one way to fool the eye, to make it feel like there's a bit more depth, is to make the background a little bit darker. Make one side of the face a little bit brighter than the other. It creates a bit more of a profile. And then I see Rob. What's up, Walker? Right? And then it just makes a little bit nicer. And if it's a good looking shot of somebody that's attractive, unlike me, right? It just makes it a little bit nicer. So you can add another light. Now I'm limited here because there's a table in the way and there's the other table over there. So I can't put, you know, a side light exactly where I want it. Right? I only have a small area that I could put this light. But it's up there. It's on. It's not very bright. If I turned it off, you would know. This whole area would be very dark. My face would not be well lit at all. The only thing that would help is if I did something like this. Is a good way to cheat. Right? I could take this. See that? That's just a wider page on my right-hand monitor. And now I've got more light on my face. Personally, I think that's too much, but it is what it is. You know, I could leave that up. So if I wanted it, and it actually is throwing more light behind me as well. Now, I don't really need that. But just as an example. So you could use almost anything. Another thing I see people do is, let's see, what does Rob says? Rob says, great for those with less than perfect. Yeah. Well, you know what? You can... You know, everybody has like a good side and a bad side, and they'll do that. Like they'll put a little light somewhere. I've actually seen people do this. They take one of these lights, and you can see this light's it's really bright. This is, they call it Amaron. It's actually made by Aperture, which it's considered to be a good company. You know, like a lot of people use the Aperture products. It's very small LED. It is adjustable. It is variable. And it's got an internal battery, which you can recharge. And that's its typical brightness. It has another mode where it's even brighter. And what some people do is they take a very simple light like this. And they do this. They put it out of the shot. See where it is? You'll never see it because their shot is set. And they would dim it down a little bit or maybe angle it a little bit differently. But a simple light like that is very useful. Keep in mind, a lot of YouTubers don't do what we do here. Like I have to take pictures of, not me, I take pictures of machines, right? That's a problem because cameras and shiny things, right? Like, you know, if you're making a video, you avoid shiny things. If you're making a movie and stuff like that, and you're into that stuff and that's your job, right? You go around the room, if, you know, they call them practicals. So a practical would be something like, it's like a prop. And practical lighting is something that's already existing in the room that you can take advantage of, like a lamp. You want more light, put a lamp. It adds mood, it can add ambience, it can add light. But if there's anything in the room that's going to present a problem for the camera, right, you got to get rid of it. And typically, it's a shiny metal thing. Watch another movie and you'll see what I'm talking about. You don't see shiny metal things. Like, nobody does that. You get rid of that. Because sooner or later, it's going to have a problem. Rob says, Harbor Freight, free magnetic lights on flood. What is that? You got a link? We could probably drop the link right in here. Is free on flood? Is it not free? You mean free like if you buy something, right? Or like those cheesy free ones, like the one that I had for a long time on my refrigerator with the magnets on the back. Is that what you're talking about? Right? Those are pretty cool. I had one for a long time. It was one of the first LED lights that like Harbor Freight had. And I think you put like 2 or 3 AA batteries in it, and it's just kind of like right on the refrigerator. Yeah, I had that for a really long time. Yep, you can use simple stuff to help lighting. Anything you can get your hands on, really. You know, incandescent bulbs work really well, but the problem with them is that, well, they don't make that many of them anymore. They're kind of hard to find unless you're looking for, you can still buy like the Edison style incandescent bulbs. And you can also buy the shop light incandescent bulbs. The ones that are like rough duty that are still made for shop lights. They still sell that. There's a lot of really nice, cheap, you know, LED lights out there. My daughter got me a 3-pack of some of these really cheap ones. Oh, there's Usha. This is why you don't answer me on Discord. I thought you left me, Johnny. Wish I tuned in from the start. Yeah, you might have. He used to be into cameras. That's Usha, right? That's my friend Usha, the cop, right? Yeah, so Usha's here. He's looking for me on Discord. I was actually thinking about doing like a Discord channel someday in the future where, because the thing about Discord is like, I have a Discord server. I have a Discord channel. And the thing about that is you could have private channels for certain people. And as a YouTuber, you could even have one that's like a paid channel. People go into, small fee. And they have access to things like private videos and pictures. And they can put up, like you guys could put up pictures of stuff. And ask me questions directly and share stuff with others. And then have private conversations with other people as well. And you can schedule that stuff and take advantage of it and use it. So if a couple of us just wanted to get together for like a more private conversation and hang out, and I didn't want it to be on, or maybe you guys didn't want it to be on YouTube, you could do it on Discord. So I've thought about it. I think if the channel gets a little bit more popular, I'll probably do something like that. Maybe towards the end of the year or something. It's just like another thing to have that's very useful. And again, like I said, you could put links. It's kind of like a forum that you... All right, so the Discord, not only can it be private, it could be public. It's pictures, links, and video. Right? So it's like a phone conversation. You can share video. You can go live with each other. You can see each other. You can hear each other. And again, like I said, you could put videos and stuff. You could put links to other things. Hey, Doc's up. What's up, Doc? I'm not a fan of Discord. I can't figure it out, right? Usha, right? Usha can't figure it out. Actually, he's learned a whole bunch about Discord recently. He was like terrible with it, and now he's like, like the light bulb went on, and he's like, now he knows how to use it. I get confused with it sometimes. More on certain servers, like certain people that have like a lot of Discord channels and stuff on their Discord server. Then it gets, yeah, see, Usha says, I'm with Doc. Yeah. It's very useful. It is a bit of a pain in the neck. And now they keep adding, like, more features to it, which, I see what they're adding, and I'm like, I don't care about that. Next. Click the button. Next. But it's a lot better than the old program. What was the old program we used to have over at Moon, Usha? What was that called? You went on that thing where everybody could talk to each other. What was that called again? Remember? TeamSpeak. Yeah. That was mic only. It couldn't do anything else. And then I think, wasn't Lynn trying to get us on like Zoom or something? I think later on, like, what was it? She had us on where we could see each other and stuff. We're going back like 10 years. but it's very useful. And you know what, Doc? You don't have to know a lot about it, right? All you have to know is essentially how to click on something and go into a channel, right? If you're not running a server, she wanted it, but they didn't have Discord back then. Discord's is what, maybe 6 years old now? Something like that. I don't know. Time keeps going by. I'm getting old. Yeah. I like Discord. It's useful. It's just got too many bells and whistles in it right now. And it doesn't work well with this headset. Right? I have a lot of problems with it. If I mute the mic, because this microphone here, you drop it down, right? And the mute comes off and you can speak. And then you can either press a mute button and leave the boom down. This is the boom here. It's not connected right now, but when you boom up, it mutes it. And ever since some update with Discord, that feature just doesn't work right. And it's completely unreliable. And a lot of times, the only way for me to fix it is I have to either move channels in Discord, if somebody has another voice channel or another channel that you can go into, and then I come back in, or I have to log off of Discord and log back in again, and that fixes the problem. I thought it was the headset, but it's not. It's something where the Discord does not properly recognize the mute unmute on this headset. And a lot of people with the Logitech headset have this issue. And I haven't really found an easy fix for it, right? It's, not that I really try to fix it because I don't use it enough. I don't run servers anymore. I just go into other people's Discords. So, what's up? What's up? I'm getting tired now. I'm almost ready to sign off. We've been on here for almost 2 hours. So like 2 hours, I'm done. I see you multi-user video chat. I see you? Is that like an old one? Let's go see. Yeah. Let's go take a look. I'm going to go to main monitor. All right, I'll open up. I see you. Chat. Is that a thing? Random text chat. Omegle, like alternative site. Free is Shagel. Free random video chat. Talk to strangers. No, I don't want to I don't want to sex chat anybody. What kind of trouble are you getting us into? Right? I think that's what's happening. I think he's trying to get us into trouble. Right? Is that like where you porn chat with people and stuff, Rob? Is that what's going on? Right? That's what I think is going on. Let me see. Let me go back to my, here we go. Let's see. 15 years or more. What's 15 years? A Discord? No, really? Doc says, I'm sure if I just mess with it, I would figure it out. I just got frustrated with it and deleted it. Yeah, that's happened to me. I usually just, like I said, I usually just log into somebody else's Discord server because I don't use mine anymore. If I turn it on right now, Usha's going to start calling me. Right, so I'm not turning it on to show you guys. He'll start trying to ring it. So when I go live, I shut it off. I see you. I see you. Yeah, let's see. I'll retype that in. Hold on, let's see. I see you. Yeah, you're going to be in ICU. The AI search engine, you control AI chat and apps. Hold on. Well, I don't know what that is. That scared me. Yeah, I don't know. Get started with chat, Microsoft support. No, I don't want anything that is Microsoft-wise. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's not coming up. I seem to remember that was like some old program from like a million years ago. I'm not seeing anything on a search, so if you have a link, put it up. So definitely. Let me refresh this page real quick. Yeah, let me just refresh these 2 pages. All right, that gets me more up to date. Yeah, there we go. Because what happens is my console for YouTube actually gets behind after a while. Let me refresh this one too. All right, good. Yeah, that's better. It's an early video chat program. Early or elderly. You know, for people like me. You know. So, yeah, you know, it's fun fooling around with this stuff. And, you know, if you guys like technology or whatever and you want to do something a little bit more, you know, than just editing on your cell phone or something, I like DaVinci. It's really nice. I'm enjoying it. I've tried other programs, and this one is at least sophisticated enough to do whatever you need to do because it's a professional program. I watch a lot of guys that use it and that are into cameras and into, you know, video editing and making videos, YouTubers and stuff that are into that part of the technology. And they used to do their YouTube programs on Adobe stuff, and they switched to DaVinci. Now, I don't know if they're telling the truth or whatever. You know, keep in mind that YouTubers, especially in the technology market, sometimes it's hard to tell what their motivations are because they get paid for this stuff. They're making good money doing it too. If you're a camera reviewer or like a technology reviewer, there's a very good chance that everything that you see on their shelves behind them and what they're using has been bought and paid for by whatever company they're talking about. Occasionally they'll tell you when it's not, and they usually do tell you when they're doing a review whether it is something that they bought or is bought and paid for or is lent. But generally speaking, if they're not saying that, you can assume that almost every damn cable and everything else that they got in their studio has been given to them. And part of that payment is that they're using it. And they'll talk about it. See, it says, Doc says, DaVinci Resolve is what I use. Nice. All thumbs up from me. Only complaint I have is its updates a lot. Yeah, it does update a lot. Doc, do you have the paid version, or are you using the free one? By the way, Doc is, hold on, let me see. The exit button. Let's see if I can get the outro right. All right, we'll do outro.